Did you ever wonder? I do. Did you ever wonder why the sun always rises, but the stars never fall? Why dry land is never satisfied by water? And why fire never says enough?
Throne sitting today on Bible Wonders. I love that whole concept. And in Revelations 3:21, Jesus tells the church in Laodicea, "To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also came and sat down with my Father in his throne." So I just think it's a glorious thing when you look at those words in Hebrew, which, you can look at the Septuagint and see what the word for throne is in Greek and back into how that word would actually be in Hebrew. And so as we do that, there's obviously some key words there, one being throne, the other one being in. So what does it actually mean to be sitting in Jesus' throne like he was in his Father's throne? Well, the word throne in Hebrew, it starts with a kuf, which is a phenomenal letter. It usually means a crown, which would make all kinds of sense when it comes to sitting on a throne. But when you break down the letter even further, it kind of has this sense of both desire and pleasure, and what they call, the Jews do, super consciousness. So that's, if you wonder why they wear the little skull cap that they use, it's because that is their image of this super consciousness that's like a crown above their head. And so the reason why they believe that desire and pleasure are the super consciousness, because even though you may not be a great guitarist, like I actually, back last summer, was my big dream, my big desire was to be able to play classical gas on my 12-string guitar. And even though I'm not a great guitarist, because I had this huge desire, I spent months learning how to play it, listening to it over and over and over again, taking lessons on YouTube, doing this and that until I could finally figure out how to play classical gas. Well, then, a bigger challenge, I cut off the tip of my little finger when I was trimming my hedges about 5 weeks before I was supposed to play it at boot camp. And so now I had a bigger challenge, which was how was I going to play classical gas, was essentially just 3 fingers. Well, once again, desire plus a lot of prayer, like, God, show me how to do these chords this way with just the 3 fingers. And eventually, I actually was playing it better with 3 fingers and a thumb, or 4 fingers, as it were, than I was playing it with all 5 of my fingers. So, not to say it was awesome, but I thought it was pretty good for somebody with 4 fingers. It was really fun to do, but the idea was that my desire was so strong that it pushed forth the reality. And you see somebody that their desire is to play football, and you can see some kids that don't have that much natural ability, but somehow or another they even make it on into the professional leagues because the desire is so great. So that's part of the super consciousness that would be a crown. And certainly when you think about it, if your desire is for heaven above all else, it certainly is a picture of what a crown is. And the other word is pleasure, and that the idea is that it's ratzon, that's the word in Hebrew that has to do with this kind of pleasure. And it's almost like when it said, when you pray in the Lord's Prayer, thy will be done, well, what you're really praying is that God's delight will be done. That ratzon word, which has to do with, again, with pleasure. Like, God would be absolutely delighted to see us sitting in his throne with Jesus. And so as we understand it, as the Jews teach with this super consciousness, pleasure drives desire. Like, you're so excited about the pleasure of doing that it drives desire, and desire drives this super consciousness that actually gets your mind to begin to work on how you can become this or do this that you see is going to be required. And again, add the Holy Spirit and the blood of Christ into all that, and you really have a, the making of a great crown is what I'm saying. So that first letter, that kuf, is huge when it comes to throne. The second letter is called a samach, and it has everything to do with unity, and it has everything to do with sort of medicine. And so here's this person that has this beautiful desire, that is this super consciousness that's over his head, and it's driven towards unity. Now, that's the kind of person I want sitting on the throne. How about you? And the last letter is an Aleph, which we've talked about that letter at length before. Simply God's finger coming down, wanting to touch man, and through the Torah, which is a vav that's between the two yuds, through the Torah, God touches man. But that essentially is the Aleph, or the alpha male, so to speak, like the leader. And so here you have this crowned individual that has this fantastic desire for unity and clearly is in charge. And that's what the throne is. It's a beautiful word, and it's certainly something that I look forward to sitting on. Now, fascinatingly, the word in, when you're talking about being in a throne, that letter is just simply a bet, which means home, but really means kingdom in this case. And so when you're in the throne with Jesus, it means you're in the kingdom with Jesus, and you're in this place of desire and pleasure, super consciousness, so to speak, working on unity as the leader. All in the kingdom. I mean, that sounds like good stuff. So I don't know about you, but I plan on sitting in my throne with Jesus throughout the day today. Because as it said in Ephesians 6:2, right? And he hath raised us up together and had made us sit together in the heavenly places. Something to wonder about today.
Do you ever wonder